going to have a look at a very interesting pen, and this pen was sent to me by Kevin from Fountain Pen Revolution. Thanks a lot. This is a pen from a brand for which I have received a lot of review requests. It's an Indian brand of handmade pens, and today we're going to be talking about the Guider Super Zimbo. Now, I'm not sure if Guider is pronounced Guider like that, but that's what I'm going to say just for simplicity's sake. I like large pens, that's no secret, and the Guider Super Zimbo I actually picked because I saw it was so big. Now, this is an Indian handmade pen. This is not your $5 Indian pen. Kevin at Fountain Pen Revolution sells these for $65, so it is definitely a somewhat more expensive Indian pen, and it's really big. Here you have a Lamy Safari, and here you have a Guider Super Zimbo, and it's not just long. It also has a lot of girth, which is important. So here, now, I don't know what it is exactly about Indian pens, but I have definitely seen my share of really large, oversized Indian pens, which is interesting, and this one is no exception. So it's large. If you have small hands, if you don't like big pens, there's no point buying this pen, because it's definitely huge. Okay, having sung its size praises enough, I think it's a good idea to have a look at the parts of the pen. Then I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, then I'll do a writing sample. Okay, at the very top of the pen, I have this finial, very simple. You see this sort of interesting milky white color overall. You have the clip. The word Parker definitely comes to mind, except this says Guider. And then you have this big cap. Nothing fancy on it. There is no branding, I should say, other than what is on the clip there. Then you have this large barrel. You can see the barrel there is solid, so no ink goes in there, and this pen is filled through an eyedropper. So it holds 6 milliliters, and boy is it big. I mean, when you can put a cap on your finger like that, it's a big pen. The section is enormous, and again, I would like to show you a Safari just to give you an impression of how big this is. It is huge, and even if you have relatively large hands, this pen is definitely a big one to use. It might be interesting, I'm just reaching into a drawer here, to show you the Delta Dolce Vita Oversize, which also is a very big pen with one of the thickest sections I own, and yet it pales in comparison to this Guider. So, you have this section, you have the threads here. Threads, I didn't find them particularly sharp, and because that section is so huge, there's no real need to be up there with your fingers. You see the section tapers down, then flares out just a little bit, and then you have the nib. Now, believe it or not, this is a number 6 sized nib. So that should also go to show you how big this section is. Barrel tapers down, nothing fancy, nice and round. And what I will say is that this pen has really nice polishing. I have seen a number of Indian pens that are a little bit rough around the edges. This is really polished well. And I don't know if you can see these ribs here, but it's pretty well put together, I would say. Whereas the cap, here's the cap. The only bit that I found a little bit rough was around the clip there. I don't know how well you can see that. Let me try to block out my face there. It's not as pristinely smooth as you would expect on a pen, I think, but it's definitely not terrible. I've seen a lot worse in Indian pens, Chinese pens, less expensive pens. So that's very cool. Now, 6 milliliter ink capacity. That is a lot of ink if you consider the average converter holds about 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 milliliters of ink. So a giant amount, and of course a lot of opportunity for big spillage. Now, I'll be a little bit careful here, but what I'm trying to show you is the enormous amount of threads. So put a little bit of silicone grease on that. I'm not even sure if that's absolutely necessary, but you shouldn't really have any enormous leakage. Okay, I'm going to be very careful not to ruin another tablecloth here, but there you go. There you have it. Now, Ebonite feed, always nice, means you can fiddle around with other nibs, and as I believe this is one of the German nibs that Kevin has put on it for me. It says iridium point. Apart from that, it has no markings, but it is a standard fine/medium, I would say. Nice two-tone though, and that's pretty much all there's to it. Now, what do I like about this pen? What do I not like about the pen? Well, there are definitely things I like. Silly as it may seem, this pen is a conversation piece. I took it to lunch with some colleagues, and people are fascinated by it because it is so big. I mean, it is big. It's a giant girth, which makes it very interesting to look at. I like the fact that it is smooth. It is very pleasant to the touch. This is not a roughly hewn pen. This is well made, well polished. What is there not to love about a giant ink capacity? Well, one issue is that you don't get to switch your ink so much, but if you really do a lot of writing, this is a very nice pen to have for the ink capacity. Things I don't like so much. It is really big, and even though I don't have the world's smallest hands, even for me it is a stretch to hold this pen for a long writing session. Very comfortable for shorter writing sessions, but after a while I feel even my fingers tire. So I'm used to oversized fountain pens, but this is a monster. Having said that, I think it has a lot going for it. It's a nice pen. It even posts to become ridiculously big, and it's fun. It's a fun pen. That's all I can say. Now, what I'm going to do is give you a couple of measurements. Don't feel inadequate, but this is a big pen. It has a weight of 46 grams. That is inked up. And it has a cap of 12 grams, a body of 34 grams. The measurements, currently I have them in millimeters only, so bear with me. If you really want to use inches, please convert it. With cap, the pen has a length of 170 millimeters, uncapped 147.6, and posted 197 millimeters. That's 19.7 centimeters. That's getting very close to 8 inches. I just happen to know that. Then there is the barrel, which has a diameter of 18.8 to 19.6 millimeters. Again, huge. A section diameter of 15.6 to 17.3 millimeters. Really big. I think I've emphasized how big this pen is. I think we need to see it in action. That's what we're going to do next. I hope this was useful so far, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. Alright, so here we go with the Guider Super Zimbo with what I believe to be a fine medium nib, and the ink, bit of a skip there, is Ackerman Royal Blue. To be honest, this is the largest amount of skips I've had with this pen so far. This is very smooth Clairefontaine paper, so it's possible that's the cause. We can do some fast writing, see what that does. No real skips, which is good. Then, wetness. There's a lot of ink in this reservoir. As you can see, it is also a fairly wet nib. Now, line variation. As you can see, you can squeeze some out. I really think this nib doesn't really like this paper because I have not run into these issues before. It is a feed that will run dry if you try to flex it, so you do have to go a little slower, but you can get some variation out of this. Finally, reverse writing turns this nib into a very nice fine, no issues, no flow problems, so that's very cool too. Okay, thanks a lot to Kevin from Fountain Pen Revolution for sending me this pen. I appreciate it. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. This is a lot of pen. And not just is it very long, it also has a lot of girth, which is important, also I understand. Now, this pen, sorry, this pen is very interesting, and I have to say I really enjoyed using it. So I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't. No, can't do it.